Welcome to another episode of The Shift powered by ET Edge Insights. The Shift showcases business leaders delving into the intricacies of their fields, uncovering challenges, opportunities, and strategies for moving forward. Watch The Shift to gain valuable insights from industry experts and stay ahead of the curve. With Gen Z and millennials at work now, the organizational cultures are seeing disruption like never before. Companies are now noticing the trend, learnings, and implementing to build a workplace of the future. So, to talk on this shift in the industry, we have with us Divas Chawla, who is the Chief Global Officer and MD of Savista Global. Welcome to our interview, sir.
Thank you.
Well, to begin with, Divas, I would like to know that what are the key shifts have you observed in the expectations and attitudes of younger generations entering the workforce today?
See, this generation, this Gen Z generation especially, they've been brought up in democratic households, right? So they've been a part of the decision making. You know, the parents have asked questions and they've been involved in their decisions that they are taking. Like if you look at a lot of marketing strategies, you know, a lot of car companies target actually these kids versus the parents, right? Because that's what's influencing their buying decision. So, and that's the shift we are seeing in our organization as well, right? So when they come in, they want to be a part of the decision-making process. They want to be associated with a certain value system that they carry, right? For them, life is not just work, right? Work is a part of their life, an important part of their life, but a part of their life, right? So, as an organization, you have to start adapting to this mindset, right? It's not that top-down approach anymore. It's not like that, we are the leadership and we'll decide and then everybody in the organization follows. So you have to involve them in the decision-making process, which we do.
Okay, so how have you made those changes, and what were the first steps that you took while you observed that these were the changes that you were seeing in your organization? So what was that first movement towards having that organizational change and including, the efforts that these Gen Zs bring to the entire, gamut of things?
See, I tell you, again, as a leader, you got to start from the top, right? I started doing a lot of those skip sessions, those one-on-ones, right? To ensure that there is an open door policy. People understand that everybody is going to get involved in the decision-making process. I'll tell you, one of my previous organizations, I walked in and there was a separate door for the corporate area. I walked in the day on a Friday. I remember I joined on a Friday. On Monday, I said, I don't want to see this door again, right? I want it knocked down over the weekend, as an example, right? So you got to make sure that you are being seen and actually involving this generation into your decision-making process, right? Then we slowly started changing a few things. We used some technology. For example, we set up a tool. Now, this generation is dealing mostly with the client. They know the problems of the clients on a day-to-day basis because they're working with that, right?
Correct.
So how do you make sure that they are a part of that decision-making? They are telling you. So you have to create that environment, right? Now, nobody's going to just raise their hand and say, okay, I saw this problem. So what we did was, we created a tool where if you see a thing that you have a solution for, you feed that into that platform, a Kaizen platform, right? And it goes to certain levels of people who look at it and say, yeah, it makes sense. And then they form a project team, which is led by the person who gave that idea. And that person could be the junior most employee of our company.
That's very interesting. Well, you actually creating leaders at that kind of level.
Yes.
All right.
And with that, they're also being able to, they feel empowered. They feel the fact that if they've come up with an idea, they are the ones responsible to execute it and implement it. Versus, I've given an idea, now somebody is going to execute it somewhere, right? And so not only are they learning in that process on how to do things and how to run projects and those leadership skills, but also that they are empowered. They
Sure.
can decide.
When you take feedback from these young leaders
Yeah.
that you're creating at
Yeah,
that kind
yeah.
of level, what is the kind of feedback that you receive, and like, is it encouraging for you as a leader at the helm?
Oh yeah. So I'll take an example of a lady I spoke to, and it's got nothing to do with this project or tool or whatever, but it's just got to do for the fact that we pick and drop our people. We send cabs because that way their shifts are monitored, right? They don't have to keep working 12 hours, 15 hours a day.
Sure.
So they have a pickup time, they have a drop time. They also have to work in that environment, in that time period. So they're also kind of focused on doing that. And the entire organization is making sure that they are successful in those 9 hours of work because they have to go back. So I had this lady once who came in and in one of my skip sessions and said, my husband has told me that you will never leave this organization because I feel extremely safe that you're taken care of, you are picked and dropped, you have a working window that is predictable,
Sure.
right? And then when you come home, there's no work that you carry because they don't carry computers back home. So at that level, it becomes extremely important.
And do you lead by example, by the
Yeah.
way? Do you do that, like inculcate that kind of culture within your own space?
So, like, let's say time off is time off.
Okay.
I will never bother somebody if it's time off. Weekends, I would not call anybody till the time. It's like sometimes it's really necessary if there's some board meeting coming and something you need some information, but nothing doing.
So tell me, Divas, what specific traits or approaches from today's generation do you believe leaders need to adopt to remain effective in the modern workplace?
See, so you got to be authentic. Look, like I said, these guys are, like even look at the sense of styling is comfort styling, street styling. So they are who they are.
Do you allow that in your organization? Like
Yeah.
they can wear what they want?
As long as, like, we do not want to have, let's say religious slogans, or we want to
Sure.
create at least that neutrality.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And I don't want people coming in flip-flops. And it's that culture.
Sure.
So there is I would say some reason around it, but yeah, like let's say smart casuals, wear whatever you want to wear.
Sure.
Don't put slogans on, but wear whatever you want to wear, right? So we do that.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. Second piece is that they like to get empowered. Like they've come from that background, so they want to be a part. Like we've done a lot of things. Like, for example, let's say we run a business review. We'll have a lower level of managers come in and present a business. And yeah, sometimes they will do a good job, and sometimes they'll not do a good job. But that's how they will learn. But they're not scared of it, and they'll take that as a learning exercise, right? I'll take another example. There's a lot of individual focus, right? Now every mental well-being, right? It's different. Your problem is different to my problem.
Sure.
So we've created a program called the ACE program,
Okay.
which is Accelerated Colleague Engagement, which is where we have a specific budget for our managers to go out with the teams and on one-on-one basis, let's say for a coffee break, for a chai break at the stall, they can bill that to the company. So they can take one of the guys, have a cup of tea or coffee, have a chat outside the work premises and bill it to us as a part of the
Sure.
employee engagement,
Yeah.
colleague engagement, right? So we've tried to kind of, the work-life balance as an example. They like that. Sense of purpose, they like that. So we have clubs, we help them participate in our CSR activities. Like I'm personally extremely passionate about educating the younger, the people who can't afford education.
So how has this informal setting and initiatives
Yeah.
have converted into the shared goals, achieving the shared goals of the organization per se? Like, do they reflect in the changes that you see at the higher level? And
So I can proudly say our attrition is definitely best in class. This is the kind of work we do and the
Okay.
shifts we work in. We work late nights and right. Our performance is top notch, right? I get really good. Like I have clients who stayed with us for a decade. Like they haven't moved. And services, it's tough, right?
Yeah.
Typically there are 3-year contracts. Renewing them 2-3 times is not always that easy. But we've had clients that who stayed with us. The feedback from clients is fantastic. We are growing, rapidly. So
And it's a testimony to the kind of changes you're bringing internally. Sure. So how do you think organizations need to adapt their leadership structures to tap into the full potential of this generation?
See, first you got to keep it lean, right? You got to keep it open door, right? They do not, like this generation does not want to now go through multiple layers to try and be seen, be invisible. Like I said, they've grown up in democratic environments where they've been heard,
Yeah,
right? So they
true.
want to be heard. So you got to change that structure. You got to give them a seat on the table. right? So they want to be seen having a seat at the table, have a say in the future of the company, right? Training, like we do personal training development, right? We've changed even the way we do our RNRs, by the way. Our RNRs are not just one certificate. Now an RNR could be, I'll send you to a program to MDI. You're doing well, I want you to do better. We'll book you for a 5-day program, to MDI as an example.
Sure.
Of, on some leadership skill training that we
That's
want to.
quite actionable.
Yes, right. So we do a lot of those things that are going to help these people grow. And if they grow, if they feel empowered, they definitely add a lot of value.
What are the challenges that you faced while inculcating these changes and actually taking that mile ahead of the regular space that you could have operated in, but you wanted to bring these changes and actually make a difference? What are the challenges that you faced? And by hearing you, I can feel that the rewards have been much more higher than the challenges.
Yes.
So can you take me through that from your journey per se?
Sure. So in principle, it becomes challenging from a timing, locations are different. Language is a little different, right? Sometimes when it's cross department, right? So let's say you have a guy from the admin team feeling like, what am I going to do in this, right? I could be doing something else, right? Or a finance guy saying, this is operations work, let them do it. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So apart from that, I don't think there were too many other challenges, because I think as a leader, I'm convinced that if we don't bring everybody together, we cannot be successful. Like, and I always say this to my leaders, right? If I knew everything about everything, why would I need you guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. So I think that's the key challenge that we try to address. But when the organization understands that it is how it is, and you've got to work together, and you've got to find solutions together, right? Then then the teams start working together, right? So there is some bit of, I would say, brute force involved, that no, you have to do it, right? But I think once that happens, once you've crossed that, and then they see success, once they've tasted the blood, and said, oh God, this makes sense, and now whatever we said, whatever we proposed got implemented, all of a sudden, now there are ideas coming in, people are excited about new things, now when you form a cross-functional team, you see how the work happens.
Sure.
Then now they are chasing us. Right? Oh, we discussed that idea, what happened?
True, yes.
Yeah,
so that's where you see the change happening.
Absolutely.
And that's a positive shift that you take. Okay, and as someone who regularly interacts with the young employees, how have these exchanges influenced your own leadership style? Like, I can see that you're very candid, you're very open to changes. So over a period of time, you must have seen yourself changing as well. Like you told me, you're wearing...
Starting from my
your
attire.
sport shoes. So how do you sort of judge yourself from the time you began inculcating these kind of changes and being open-minded from till today that you have come through?
See, thankfully, I had a little bit of a Gen Z mindset. A little bit, I won't say the whole thing, but a little bit of a Gen Z mindset in the Gen X body of mine. But it is different. Like, for example, I grew up in an environment of work from office.
Yeah.
Right? This whole hybrid that we run is decided by them, proposed by the leaders, like by our young leaders, and they've set up the model on how it is. And honestly, it's great. Even I'm enjoying it, right? Because there is more work-life balance, so to say, right? There is more things you can do because you're not spending so much time on the road, and yet you're connected, yet the culture is maintained. So yeah, things like those have changed my thinking. The only thing I think I need to do a little better of is that social media. I think these guys are really good at it, and somehow I've not been able to figure out what my sweet spot is. Right?
Okay.
I'm not too much, like I'm not on Instagram, I'm not on Facebook, like I'm not on Twitter, like I'm nowhere, right?
Have you had a young colleague teaching you social media someday? Oh, this is the new app that, you don't know about this app. This is what happens very regularly with these guys. So have you had this moment where, the ideas of younger colleagues challenged your perspective or approach?
Yeah, like I said, this work from office is a classic example of how they challenged my thinking. I think another thinking that they've challenged is the hours that we work, the way we work. I'm a little more, I grew up in a more textbook environment, right? So which means, it's all about work. You got to make sure,
It should be perfect,
it should be
aligned,
perfect,
on time.
all of that, right? And I think I've learned it is okay to do mistakes as long as you don't repeat it, right? It's okay, right? Nothing is going to fall as long, you create a support system where if someone fails, it's not that, the company is in a mess, right? But as long as that doesn't happen, it's okay, right? So I think that's a big thing that I've also learned. It's okay to do mistakes, right? It's okay to kind of
bringing that human perspective into the entire fold.
Yeah, it's okay, right? I remember I worked in organizations where you would be on calls, on messages, on emails, weekends, this, that, the other, right? And it's a funniest thing that I remember the first time when I started shifting and I started making these decisions that no, weekends are off limits, etc., etc. I had withdrawal symptoms. I would go and check.
Oh my gosh.
I would go and check. Oh, no email, nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You're so habitual of it that you feel like something is missing out of your life.
Exactly.
And it shouldn't be like that.
It shouldn't be like that. And now it's not like that, right? But I think that's also a shift that I did, which I think has added value to my life. I now spend weekends doing stuff like, you'll be, a year ago I started learning the drums again. I used to play the drums when I was in school, right? I've started playing the drums again. So every Sunday I go for a drums class.
And there is joy of connecting back to your older self.
Absolutely.
I can see that, that twinkle in your eye while you talk about all these changes at your organization that you've brought. And I genuinely feel that you've really connected with this younger lot, the Gen Z that we call. And it has shown results at the organizational level. So I would congratulate you for that.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
And it was great to have you give us insights on the Gen Z millennial culture and inculcating those with the leaders should come up and inculcate those and how they can do it so well, just like you. So thank you so much for watching The Shift. Stay tuned for more episodes as we continue to bring you more exclusive interactions only on The Shift. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and follow us on social media to stay updated with the latest episodes. See you in the next episode. Bye-bye.